Ryan, you got a copy of the petition signatures last week, right? I give you a copy of the petition signatures.
You gave me a copy of the typed form.
Yeah, the people that signed off on it. And he did get a copy of that upon his request, so that was provided to him, so.
Have you heard anything back from Walt? I know you and I both requested Walt respond.
Walt said he was putting together a, information thing for me. I have not seen that yet. Day before yesterday, I spoke with the EM manager from Schuyler County, Missouri. I forget his last name, first name is Kevin, I got it wrote down in my notes here somewhere. He's the Walt's counterpart in Missouri down there for Schuyler County. They've had two collapses within the last year. He will check to see what information he can share with me on that, so. And we'll provide it, and I have not seen that yet.
Have you heard anything back from Nick at RWE in regards to any of their towers that they either acquired and or go ahead.
There was question given me the other day. I was notified that there's I'm not called a information campaign going out where a young man told me he was being paid $1 a house to go and visit for RWE and share information back and forth. I wanted to know if it was legitimate, and I said, I have no idea. I said, then that had been making the rounds on social media too, I see, and people are asking if they need any type of permitting to do that or not. And I said, I'm not aware of any permits that are required of that.
Mark, do you have any other? The correct amount, Shelley, is $4,237.20.
4,000?
No, excuse me. I know when Joe came in and made a recommendation, or these were the recommendations, excuse me, from the Henry County P&Z board. Under those recommendations, and I'll just read them again, after public comment, the commission recommended to repeal the existing Title VI, Chapter 2, Section 11-2-6, but not replace it with the ordinance presented by the Board of Supervisors. A motion was to recommend replacing the ordinance presented by the Board of Supervisors with the ordinance proposed by the Henry County Watchman. The motion died for lack of second. And finally, a motion was made to table the Henry County Watchman LLC ordinance to the following week, and the motion passed unanimously. In following along with the process, the meeting was canceled. My understanding, the meeting was canceled for the P&Z board to meet the following day on September the 18th. And I guess I'm somewhat troubled, by why the Henry County, or why the P&Z board should not meet to discuss this ordinance, because it was publicly posted, is my understanding, posted to the public. But why that evening of the 17th, they didn't have further discussion? I wasn't at the meeting. I guess I feel as the board here, this is my premise, and I want your input on this, is that they should be allowed to meet and discuss, because it was tabled. I know Mark and I took action, but I think it's somewhat short-sighted in not allowing the P and Z board to have further discussion on this ordinance from the Watchman. And I would also add further discussion, I guess, on the ordinance that they rejected by us. And the reason I say that, and I know when, I think I know when my information was given to the P and Z board. I don't know what date, whether it was in writing, my understanding it was not, Mark, on your part. Chad, I know, gave to the P and Z board and to Joe the day before. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, okay? What's your input?
Just, yeah, like
Okay.
29 hours prior
Okay,
to,
so-
is what it was pointed out.
I guess my premise is this: did they have time enough to look at the total of R? I don't know, but if they didn't have discussion on it and just, I don't wanna say preemptively, but just denied it, okay? What was the reason for the denial? And I mean, I shouldn't be going back and questioning the P and Z board's decision, but yet it still comes back to us on their recommendation. So.
You asked a lot of questions here. So, where do you wanna start?
Go.
I gave Joe I did not have written, and in there, I talked over the different points that I thought needed to be looked at on the, ordinance. And I did that, and I don't have the date either, but I know it was in the May. I went in and talked to him about it.
Okay. And I believe I dated mine 5/31, I believe that's the date I dated. I think if you look back at the document.
I know that I had done it prior to you, that's all I remember
Okay.
that.
So I guess what I'm getting at here is, should the P and Z board be allowed, because they tabled this, and this was their recommendation, but yet then they were not, basically the next meeting was canceled. So have they been, I don't know, I don't wanna say unjustly, that's not. the proper word, I don't
Good,
think.
say it.
Have they been
Say
denied
it.
their duty? Have they been denied their duty, I guess,
I
their
guess.
duties, to fulfill their duties that they had requested?
I
And
guess
those, I believe those minutes from this meeting have been approved.
I would like to give them the opportunity, I think it's only just to give them the opportunity to pick back up, because I think the original error of the whole thing was that they would reconvene and continue the discussion once it got dismantled that night. You know, I think we need to at least give them the opportunity to reconvene and continue their discussion, chewing it over, formulating a recommendation that could come back to us. And Steve, I know you don't give legal advice on that stuff, but could you take the Watchman group and highlight it and give little notes of what would not be legally defensible? Nobody is arguing that there's parts of it that couldn't be legally defensible, you know, nobody's arguing that, but as lay people, I think it would be good for the P and Z board as well as our board to know what was not doable on that, so we could piece and part, you know, pick a piece out of it and think, oh, that's an idea. This is an idea over here, this is an idea over here, and then combine something. Is that doable from your office?
I'm not gonna go through the Watchman ordinance with them piece by piece now.
Not with them, I'm not asking.
If you wanna send this back to planning and zoning, you guys can do that to start the public hearing again and reconsider and hear new evidence. You can do that.
But with that new evidence, could you look at what has been given for our consumption and the planning and zoning's consumption to better formulate an end product.
You should put something together first and then I'll gladly review it. Same with planning and zoning, if they wanna put together something, have me review it, I'll do.
I'm all in favor of having P&Z, you know. I don't wanna tie their hands, let's let them do their work.
Okay.
I mean, they can start all over again and just, or reconvene, and I shouldn't say start over, but reconvene and, present something to us then.
Right, they can take
Yeah,
it
that's
under,
why I think it's only right for them to do it, cause they didn't have all the information far enough ahead in advance.
right, and they can take notice of everything that they heard and accepted at that first meeting. And so basically, yes, it's a continuation
So-
of the public hearing.
May I ask, Steve, do they have to have another public hearing?
I think it should be a public hearing, yes.
Okay. Okay,
Well, and, yeah.
go ahead, no,
No, that's,
we're having discussion here, we're just,
and 29 hours ahead of time, I made sure that everybody got a copy of it. I think that was time enough to look at it, but then to discuss it. I think this will allow them time to discuss it as a group together. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
okay. Let Joe know that he needs to schedule another public hearing in regards to, bringing off the table the Henry County Watchman ordinance.
Excuse me, why Washington ordinance, I mean, I'm just talking, just them doing their job. This was presented to them, and they can take it or leave it, is why I look at it, that's why.
And that's fine, Mark, I respect
I
that.
didn't want
I'm just-
specific for the Watchman.
Right, but the motion was made to table the Henry County Watchman ordinance, LLC ordinance to the following week. The motion passed unanimously, and this come, Joe brought this to me on 9/26/2024. This was recommendations.
So in my discussion here, I was
Sure.
just go forward,
Okay,
and how they go forward, it's their decision.
And my premise is if we have some legal guidance, because there's no sense in putting something in that don't work. Everybody's in agreement with that. I mean, there's things in that particular proposal that I don't think are doable. But if we have the legal guidance moving forward, I think that would be beneficial. I think that's, it seems like a common sense approach. You
I
don't get
understand.
the cart in front of the horse, you progress to it.
neither one of you wanna make it exclusive to the Watchman's ordinance.
No, I think everything ought to be included, you know.
Okay.
I think you'd shoot yourself in the foot if you limited it to one particular thing, so.
We need a motion for that, but I'll go ahead and tell Joe that he needs to schedule another public hearing in regards to, the ordinance. The ordinance in regard to
Before,
commercial wind energy.
before scheduling a public meeting, can the P and Z commission meet and digest things and put together something and then have legal advice, look at it
Yes.
to move forward from there?
I'd have to see what they put together.
I'll make that motion for the P and Z to schedule a reconvening of a meeting, a work session type of meeting, where they can put together, utilizing all available materials, put it together and submit it for legal reviews. And then a public meeting where it could be digested and then put out.
Public meeting or public hearing?
Public hearing type thing, once it was looked at and
Okay.
They're separate things.
public hearing separate from a
Right.
open meeting.
That's
or
why-
executive
that's
That's
what
session.
why I had asked.
He's added there, so.
The way I understand Chad is there'd be two, at least two
Yes,
meetings, yeah.
they would have like a working meeting,
Right, the first one, there'd be no
which
official
the
action
public is,
taken.
the public is
Right.
there, is
Yes,
welcome, just
yeah,
like
be
our,
open to the
these
public.
meetings are, but there would be no hearing.
Correct.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah. In your motion?
I'm asking the first meeting as a work session, just to allow them to work, to work it through.
So, work session.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Motion. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.